Effective ways to learn English. A beginner's guide to mastering all skills. Welcome to this guide on learning English effectively as a beginner. Whether you are just starting out or have been learning for a while, today's session will break down the best methods for improving your speaking, listening, writing, and reading skills. By the end, you'll have practical tips you can start using immediately. Let's dive in. Part 1. Improving your listening skills. Why listening is important. Listening is the first skill you need to develop as a beginner because it helps you get used to how English sounds. The more you listen, the better you'll understand how native speakers pronounce words and use sentence structures. Tip number 1. Start with simple content. Begin by listening to content that matches your level. Podcasts or YouTube videos designed for English learners often speak at a slower pace and use simpler vocabulary. You can also listen to children's stories or songs. Tip number 2. Use subtitles, then gradually remove them. At first, it's okay to use subtitles in your native language. But as you progress, try switching to English subtitles. Eventually, challenge yourself by watching without any subtitles, relying on context to understand the meaning. Tip number 3. Focus on key words, not every word. You do not need to understand every word. Focus on the key words that carry the meaning of the sentence. This will help you get the main ideas even when you miss a few words. Tip number 4. Active listening and repetition. Try to listen actively. Pause the audio, repeat sentences out loud, and mimic the pronunciation. This repetition helps reinforce new words and improves your accent. Repetition will also help you become familiar with common sentence patterns. Part 2. Improving your speaking skills. Why speaking is important. Speaking allows you to practice forming sentences and improves your confidence. It's also crucial for reinforcing your listening skills. The more you speak, the more comfortable you'll become with using English in real conversations. Tip number 1. Start with simple phrases. As a beginner, it's best to focus on learning simple, everyday phrases like greetings, asking for directions, or ordering food at a restaurant. These phrases will build your confidence and give you a solid foundation. Tip number 2. Practice speaking every day. Try to speak English daily, even if it's just to yourself. Narrate your day, describe things around you, or even talk to your pet in English. Consistent practice, even in small doses, is key. Tip number 3. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are a natural part of learning any language. Don't worry if you don't sound perfect. The more you speak, the better you'll get. Focus on communicating clearly, and the rest will improve over time. Tip number 4. Find conversation partners. If possible, find a language exchange partner or join a language learning group. Practicing with others gives you the chance to learn from their mistakes and correct your own. Tip number 5. Mimic native speakers. Watch videos of native speakers and try to copy their pronunciation, tone, and rhythm. This will help you sound more natural and improve your listening skills at the same time. Part 3. Improving your writing skills. Why writing is important. Writing helps you think more clearly in English and improves your understanding of sentence structure, grammar, and vocabulary. It also gives you the opportunity to express your ideas in a more organized way. Tip number 1. Start a daily journal. One of the best ways to improve your writing is to practice regularly. Start by keeping a journal. Write a few sentences every day about your experiences, thoughts, or anything you're passionate about. Don't worry about grammar mistakes at first. Focus on getting your ideas down. Tip number 2. Keep it simple. As a beginner, don't try to write complicated sentences. Use simple sentence structures and vocabulary. For example, instead of writing, "I've been working very hard and I'm extremely tired," start with something simpler like, "I work today and I feel tired." Tip number 3, learn to organize your ideas. Good writing starts with clear organization. In the beginning, focus on writing one idea per paragraph. Start with a sentence that introduces the idea, followed by supporting details, and then a conclusion. Tip number 4, read your writing aloud. After writing, read your text out loud. This will help you catch any mistakes or awkward phrasing. Plus, hearing your own writing can help you understand if it flows naturally. Tip number 5, seek feedback. Share your writing with others who are more experienced in English. They can provide constructive feedback to help you improve. If you don't have access to a teacher or tutor, you can use online language exchange platforms or communities for support. Part 4, improving your reading skills. Why reading is important. Reading not only helps improve your vocabulary, but it also exposes you to new sentence structures and ideas. It's a great way to learn how native speakers write and how the language is used in context. Tip number 1, start with short and simple texts. For beginners, start with short stories, children's books, or news articles aimed at learners of English. You can also use apps or websites designed for English learners, which offer reading material at different levels. Tip number 2, focus on comprehension, not speed. Don't worry if you cannot read fast at first. It's better to take your time and really understand what you're reading. If you don't understand a word, try to guess its meaning from the context. Use a dictionary only when necessary. Tip number 3, highlight new vocabulary. When reading, keep a notebook or digital document where you write down new words. Write the definition and try to use the word in your own sentences. Repeating this will help you remember the words better. Tip number 4, read aloud. Reading aloud can improve both your reading and speaking skills. It helps with pronunciation and comprehension. Try reading a paragraph out loud, then summarize it in your own words to check your understanding. Tip number 5, challenge yourself gradually. As you get better, increase the difficulty of your reading material. Start reading novels or articles that interest you, even if they're a bit challenging. Over time, you'll find it easier to read more complex texts. You now have an overview of the best ways to improve your listening, speaking, writing, and reading skills in English. Remember, learning a language is a journey, and it takes time. Focus on consistency, and don't get discouraged if progress feels slow at times. The key is to practice regularly and enjoy the process. Start today by choosing one skill to focus on and gradually integrate these strategies into your daily routine. No matter where you are in, you're learning, you're moving closer to your goal every single day. Thank you for listening, and good luck on your English learning journey.